Howdy, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be doing another episode in our coaching series for League of Legends. So special thanks to Eric for the generous donation. I really appreciate it. And this time we're going to be looking at a Tahm Kench support video. So if you're new to the channel, you can always find in the description a link to this Google Doc. And it'll also have timestamps if you just want to jump straight ahead to the game start or to the post game. And how it works is I'll do a little pregame. I'll talk about Tahm Kench a little bit in the current meta. Good runes, items, skill order for him, and then we'll go down, we'll watch the game itself. I'll take some physical notes, comment on it as I watch it, and then at the very end, we'll bring it all together, and I'll try to give Eric the top 5 to 10 things that I think he could work on to really improve his game. If you would like a coaching session yourself, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to set that up for you. Just a $20 donation. If you would like to watch other coaching sessions, you can click on the link here to find that. And I also have individual champion guides here. I do have a Tahm Kench guide. I don't have one that's updated for Season 8 yet, but a lot of the play style and just theory behind why Tahm Kench is a good pick in certain situations is discussed in depth in the Season 7 guide. So be sure to check that out if you like Tahm Kench and you're interested. He is becoming very popular lately in the pro scene, and I think he's a really good counter pick right now as of 8.2. Okay, so let's take a look. So what's up with Tahm Kench? First of all, in terms of warding, you want to make sure that you're dropping one control ward every 5 minutes on average. So if it's a 30-minute game, you have 6 control wards, and then you want to make sure that you're dropping one normal ward per minute on average, 2 times that much if you have zombie ward. I don't really recommend zombie ward anymore after the nerfs. It is really nice, but until they nerf the inspiration tree a little bit more, then I think pretty much everybody just about is going to want to do some combination of inspiration and resolve. So you want one normal ward per minute, so 30-minute game, 30 wards. Okay, so as far as runes, I recommend, I think the most popular and strong rune set right now is Glacial Augment, Biscuit, Footwear, Cosmic Binding, Conditioning, or Cosmic Insight rather, Conditioning, and Second Wind. Okay, and then if you don't want to do Glacial Augment, you can do Unsealed Spellbook. Now, this is going to be nerfed in patch 8.3, so if you're watching this on 8.3, this may not be viable. We'll have to see what the nerfs look like. But as of 8.2, Unsealed Spellbook gives 25% Summoner cooldown, which is really nice for extra flashes, extra ignites, exhausts, whatever you want, even teleport sometimes if you need to get to a place quickly. So it's really good right now. I think they're trying to nerf it down to 15% summoner cooldown instead of 25%. If that happens, I'm not sure if it's going to be as viable, but I think the Glacial Augment, they just buffed it. Very few champions use it, so I highly suspect this is still going to be good. Tahm Kench is not an amazing stopwatch user. You can use stopwatch on him, but they are nerfing stopwatch next patch to make it to where you have to choose either footwear or stopwatch. But this shouldn't affect Tahm Kench that much. In fact, that's going to help him because that's going to hurt a lot of other champions. So I think he's pretty resilient going forward. And this is pretty standard. I mean, this is what I've been recommending for a while on Tahm Kench, and this is pretty much what most of the pros are doing now. He had gotten Guardian, and Guardian was pretty good for a little while there. But it's really, really bad in the laning phase now after the most recent nerf. And the second tree... Let me just pull this up, because I get asked this on stream all the time. Like, why take Unsealed Spellbook on champions? Why is Unsealed Spellbook good? Why not just go, you know, Guardian or Aftershock or this or that on a bunch of different champions, like Tahm Kench. Unsealed Spellbook's becoming the standard on almost everybody. Much of the time. And there's a reason for this. So... First of all, a lot of things in the Resolve have been nerfed. Most specifically, Guardian and Aftershock have both been nerfed quite a bit. So, Aftershock basically does no damage early on. So, that hurts all of your early game, you know, all-in champions like your Shins, your Leona, stuff like that. And Guardian hurts your peelers. This hurts your Braum, your Taric, and a bunch of other champions. They move the cooldown from 45 seconds at all levels to 70 seconds at level 1. Then it doesn't get back to 45 seconds until really late in the game, like level 15 or something. Now, yes, it does shield for a little bit more, you know, 2% more of the Guardian's max health. Otherwise, it's the same amount of shield. I think you might get 10 early on. But the problem is that can get procced by anything in lane. Like, just an auto attack can proc this and waste it, and then you're not going to have it for all ends. So, it's still, like, all right in team fights later on, but the cost of the laning phase is really rough. And then this tree is just bad on most champions. Like, this is one of the big issues, too. So, it's not just that these two have been nerfed, but that this tree is just really not that good compared to some other trees. Unflinching is okay on Kench because tenacity makes sure that you get your ally out. Because a lot of times you're going to have to go into hot situations to eat somebody, and then you're going to have to try to run. So, it's okay. Demolish is okay, but as a melee champion, it's hard for you to get up and proc this on towers for most of the game. Like, it will come in handy every now and then, but it's not something that you're going to be using a lot because you're not a solo laner and you're not a ranged champion. So, it's unlikely you're going to use this. Font of Life is okay. It does give some extra healing for people that attack targets that you've slowed, and you do have some good slows in your kit. So it's alright, but it's not anything that's amazing, you know? It's okay. This is a lot better on champions that run, that have slows and run Ardent Sensor, because whenever they slow somebody or immobilize them, then the healing from this rune triggers Ardent Sensor. So that's very good on champions that don't have ways to trigger Ardent Sensor on multiple people. So like on Janna, for example, before the nerf to Guardian, I really liked Guardian Janna because you could run Guardian and then Font of Life, and that works really well with Ardent Sensor and gave you a bit more survivability in lane, but that's no more. These two, however, are pretty good. I mean, this gives you either early game survivability or a really good bargain for 10 minutes plus, and then Second Wind is extremely good on most tanks. It ends up being about a rejuve beat and a half early on, which is really good. It's like maybe like somewhere between a 200 or 300 gold value rune that has a really high impact early on in the laning phase. And then for champions like Tarek or someone like that, then Revitalize can be a good choice. The Second Wind is really good on Tahm Kench and a bunch of other tanks. So basically, these two are really good. This is okay, but it's been nerfed a lot, and this is usually pretty subpar compared to other options. Okay? They also nerfed Resolve so that you get a lot less health if you take it with Leviathan, which what you would do for zombie wards, or basically anything except for Inspiration. So it makes you want to get Inspiration whenever you go Resolve, just so you get that extra health early on. And Inspiration has some of the best money value stuff out there right now, because it's the one tree that really hasn't been nerfed that much as of yet. They just nerfed Klepto. Like I said, next patch, it's likely they're going to nerf Stopwatch and Footwear. But as of right now, 8.2 is still really good. So Glacial Augment gives you a nice slow. They just buffed it, so a 45% slow that increases to 55% over 2 seconds. This is going to let you walk up and auto attack and finish your chomp. So typically what will happen a lot of times with Tahm Kench is you can tongue lash them, walk up and auto them, and then if you don't have any way to slow them down, they can usually walk out before you get the third auto attack off. Right, so this makes sure they can't do that, and even if they flash, they're still going to be slowed enough to where you can catch up to them sometimes. This is also a pretty good peeling tool. If someone's trying to dive your AD carry, you can tongue lash them and Glacial Augment them, and just keep them locked up for a while. So it's pretty decent just for overall slowing people in fights, but the big kicker is in lane you can kill people because they're going to have to flash or use a movement ability if you tongue lash them now. Because the tongue lash slow lets you get in close for an auto attack, and the auto attack guarantees you're going to get that third auto unless they flash or dash. And then even then, a lot of times you can still get them. So that's primarily why it's taken, for extra lane kill pressure. And then Biscuit Delivery is really, really good. Gives you a ton of extra health and missing mana, which is great. Awesome sustain for lane. Perfect Timing, like I said, is good. I don't like it on Tahm Kench that much because you're not really that mobile and you're not really going to escape that often. I mean, like, it is nice to help prevent tower dives and things like that, but his kit doesn't give him a lot of extra wiggle room with perfect timing. So you can get it. It's not like awful on him. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty good on almost anybody, but I still think that Biscuit Delivery is great early on just for extra sustain. Magical Footwear, you always take this forever and always. Even after the nerf, I think you'll take this. Futures Market just doesn't actually generate any extra cash. You actually lose cash off of it. Gold, that is. And I mean, it's okay. Like, you can buy up to, you know, 200 gold and then pay 50 for it, but you're not generating extra gold. This is like a 400 gold value right now. Even after the nerf next patch where they're taking off the 50 cost reduction on upgraded boots, I still think it'll be like around a 400 gold value. Right now it's a little bit more than 400. It might be between like 350 to 400 then. But it's very, very good. And then Cosmic Insight is good, 5% reduction on everything. But approach, oh, I think I want to recommend Approach Velocity. I forgot about that. Let's put Velocity. So if you're going Glacial Augment, then Approach Velocity can be pretty good. So what that is basically you get 10% movement when moving towards an impaired ally champion or an enemy champion that you impaired. So this lets you get even closer, faster to champions that you tongue lash. And anyone who has been CC'd that you want to chomp to save, then you get to move closer to them with this 10%. So it's pretty good for both aspects of Tahm Kench, either defensively saving allies or offensively when you land your Q. So very powerful. Cosmic Insight's pretty good as well. But I think specifically if you're going Glacial Augment, then Approach Velocity is probably better. Okay, and so that's why a lot of people go for this, because all four of these are strong. And if you go Inspiration, then you get more health. So you get 145 health, you notice, instead of 130. So you get 15 more health. And you get 20% extra healing off of potions, which is a lot. I mean, if you take 3 potions early on, that's 30 extra healing per. You know, that's roughly like 80 gold worth of health in the laning phase if you use all of your potions to their maximum extent. So that's a lot. It's like 240 extra gold off of this passive in the laning phase worth of health. Then you get 15 there, which is, you know, another like 35 gold worth. So you're getting like a 275 gold value just for picking Inspiration early on. And of course, that potion stuff lasts the entire game, and it works with biscuits, which you'll probably take as well. So it gives you a ton of health, gives you the extra sustain in lane with the potions, and it has 4 really good trees. And that's why a lot of people are going Spellbook, even on Tahm Kench, even when historically people have gone Guardian, just because this has been nerfed. This has never really been that great. These two are great, but you can get them as secondaries, and then everything over here is good. And if you take Inspiration first and then Resolve second, then you get an even bigger bonus off the potions and health. So that's what's going on with the runes right now. In terms of items, I think I have the Equinox. Obviously, you want to go Relic Shield. The boots kind of depend on the team comp. I think that Mercury Treads are pretty good because you really, really don't want to be crowd controlling your Tahm Kench. That means you can't use your Gray Skin and you can't get away with people. So if they don't have a lot of crowd control, you can go Ninja Tabi. That does help you tank Baron, helps you tank towers, which is very good. And obviously, any AD champions are going to be hitting you. So Ninja Tabi are very good as well. Merc Treads, though, just because, you know, a lot of Tahm Kench's tankiness is predicated on being able to use the Gray Skin. I think those are pretty good. Swiftness are tempting because they make you a little bit faster, so you can move around better. And what? It's still recording, right? Okay. If the internet's acting goofy, the recording should still go off. And I already have the game, you know, loaded up, so it shouldn't affect that much. But I might not be able to write on this for a second. Hopefully it comes back. Yeah, looks like the internet went down there, but it shouldn't affect the recording, I'm pretty sure. So hopefully that comes back up here in just a second. But anyway, so some kind of boots. I think that boots of swiftness are probably overrated because they don't give you any defensive stats. Like, they do give you some speed, they do give you some slow resist to movement, but I think you want the defense. Like, just giving up either 30 armor or 25 magic resist is a pretty big sacrifice. So I would go with some kind of defensive boot. Knight's Vow, really good, gives you health, armor, a little bit of extra movement speed when you're moving towards your allies, so it's kind of similar to Approach Velocity in that sense. So that makes it a really powerful item on Tahm Kench, and then it's just a really good bargain. It gives extra survivability to your ally. So that's great. And then Locket goes naturally really well with Equinox and Vow. You already have a large health pool, so you might as well go ahead and complete Locket. get bigger shields. And then Zeke's is something that's really interesting. I don't think I can pull it up right now because apparently internet's out. But basically Tahm Kench, when he ults and you cancel it, it only goes on a 10-second cooldown, but that will still trigger Zeke's. So that means that in the middle of a fight, you can just press R and then just move, immediately cancel it, and it'll trigger Zeke's Convergence, which gives your AD carry 25% extra on-hit damage. Trying to remember. I don't think it's 25 flat. I think it's 25% of their auto-attack damage is extra on-hit damage that burns. Or it's 50% that burns, and if you reapply it, it's 25 immediately. So that means that if your AD carry is hitting for 200 per auto attack, then they're going to be doing an extra 50 on hit, which is really good. I mean, one of the things that made Ardent Sensor really strong was that it did an extra 25 on hit damage. Well, this is offering you, you know, in kind of the mid to late game, 50 on hit damage. So that's really good. It also gives you a slow, so you can stick to people. And it just has pretty good base stats on it. It looks like we might have the internet back, so I can pull it up real quick. Now, this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. You don't see a ton of people building it. But it's actually really good and cost efficient. I've talked about this in past itemization videos. But it's already pretty gold efficient. It does give you some mana as well. Not a lot, but a little. Just in case you kind of find yourself running short on mana. If you're having extended trades or just running around in a Clown Fiesta, it can be pretty good. Yeah, it does 25 on-hit magic damage. That's 50% over 2 seconds, but they changed it to be 25 on-hit instead of 17. Yeah, there it is. Then 12.5%, 12.5%, okay. So it gives a lot of extra damage. If your AD carry is ahead, it could be an item that you might want to consider a bit earlier. So, you know, you might get that after Knight's Vow, conceivably, and then get Locket. Locket is very good for team fights, but this is a really good damage steroid. Or if your team is just really low in damage and has a lot of tanks, so if you have like a Sejuani, jungle, Malphite top, and like Zillion middle, but then you have a Vayne AD carry, then you just might need to buff them up so you have enough damage overall. So that's a decent option, and it works really well with Tahm Kench, as I said before, because you start your ult, cancel it, goes on a 10-second cooldown, use it. So basically, if you're using your ult a lot of the time for this, then it's only going to be a 45-second cooldown. So I think that's something that's underappreciated, but can also be pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the game here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Kench. A little bit more than I wanted to, but just talk a lot about Kench, his current position in the meta. I think he is good right now. He's great as a counter pick specifically to Thresh, to Leona, and some of these other all-in champions. Let's go ahead and get in here. Alright, so we're going to watch it. We're going to take some notes. And we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we are red side. And he didn't tell me which champion he's playing this game, but he did tell me some of the events that went on in the game. And so I looked it over really quickly before the stream, and I believe he's the Kench. So if he's not the Kench, if he's the Rakan, that'll be awkward. I can re-record this, I guess, but I'll put this up anyways from the Kench perspective, but I'm pretty sure he's Kench. Okay. Make sure you're down there to get that experience. I think you may have gone like AFK or like had to answer the door or something there. Yeah, you always want to make sure. I know that life happens, but you know, as much as possible that you're, you know, focused up and you are where you can be. I know that, you know, lag happens, you gotta answer a text, or your roommate said something to you, or whatever. Yeah, play up a little bit. Go ahead, like, just drop an ignite on her or something. Just get her out of there. Or exhaust, just something. I feel like you should have used your non-flash summoner there. You guys shouldn't be fighting to begin with because you're only level 1. So you're a little late to lane, but if he does fight all in, I think you should have exhausted there. Now, she does have smite. So that's something to keep in mind. That she's going to be really weak in an all-in. That's a big, big deal that she doesn't have heal. So you need to tell Varus as well, don't fight early on because you're a low level. Like, tell him, you know, just like be careful and then ping your experience bar to let him know you're not level 2. Or just say, watch out, they're going to hit level 2. You need to step up and get this experience. I mean, you could even, like, come up... Like, you can do... I don't know if you know this or not, but, like, you can Q, and then as your tongue is in the air, you can W. And he'll do a combo where he grabs the minion in his mouth from a distance with the Q. So you could, like, grab a couple of minions here. Like, especially this cannon minion. If it's not safe enough to walk up and hit it, you can pull it back with your tongue and then spit it out against a wall. Get a few more minions. But I think that you should have tried to stay within at least experience range there, even if you can't get the full kill. Or the full last hit. Varus is just like AFK or what? Yeah, be careful, don't go up too far, though. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Yeah, you just gotta try to hold the tower as best you can. Alright, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit more because there's really not much to talk about. You're just gonna be sitting here. Okay. You guys are going to be behind if the enemy shows up, so just... Okay, well they didn't show up, so that's good. I like the rotation. Yeah, there you go, get the plant. The jungler's... No, don't come over here. No, 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 no. Just help with the dragon. Like, it's really dangerous to walk behind like that. These guys are on the dragon. Like, Ryze, in theory, could have teleported over here. If this is warded, he could have teleported on top of you and collapsed with those two. Then these guys may have, like, gone off the dragon to come help you or something, in theory. And then it might mess up the whole thing. So just stay over here and just do dragon. It's fine. Try to ward over the wall, but if you can't... I mean, their jungler's dead, so... Graves should be able to get it. Let's go ahead and back. You probably have a lot of gold. Just, no, no, no. Just leave him alone. Graves doesn't have any mana. Like, you guys need to back. Like, push this wave and get back. This is... Even this is getting a little bit greedy. Okay. We saw Rengar top. But I would still back, just because you need to use that gold. I'll get boots. But always back in a bush. Reason for that is they will stop you like they just did, but also even if they don't stop you, they'll know that you backed. Don't worry about harassing them, just try to last hit. Like, just use that when you ate the minion, just spit it into other minions to help you last hit. Yeah, and you don't really need to, like, you don't want to use your Grayskin unless you're going to be using most of the shield to block. Because if you just let it sit there, it heals you up for like 25% of the damage that you took, basically. Yeah, you needed to leave there. Alright, well, they goofed that up. Once you see that there's 6 and you're alone under tower, you're just going to have to leave. Once again, you need to back in a better place. Because, like, he could dash forward and maybe Q you. He didn't, but, like, I would have probably backed, like, right here, maybe. Once you see that they're over here, which you did on the ward. Alright, so let's write some of this down here. Okay. That was pretty much everything that I had in there. Huh. Alright. Yeah, I mean, that was good that you at least killed Rengar, but I just wouldn't even go up here. Like, they bungled that so hard. If Rakan would have just exhausted earlier. You really, like, right now, you just need to try to stall. Like, you don't want to fight, you don't want to trade kills. Because that's going to accelerate their build, and it still is a 4v5. Like, it's probably going to be really hard to win this without Varus, so you're just waiting on him to come back from his DC. So you really, like, even trading, that's disadvantageous for you. Because they're going to scale so much better than you because they have 5 players. So you just want to slow down and give them the least amount of gold you possibly can. So that the game takes longer. Should have swiped it this way. See if they're... Because this is a very popular place where they wards, like here, here, and here. And, I mean, I guess that does give you vision if they have dragon there or not. Oh, Balmy Cinder. No, no, no. I mean... I guess maybe your thought process is here, like, I need to wave clear. You know, I might have to solo lane this because, you know, Varus is missing. So this is kind of a wacky game in terms of itemization because you have a DC for so long. In general, you don't want Balmy Cinder into Sunfire. Blanket out on the name there. It's just too expensive for a tank item, and most of the time, you don't need that kind of wave clear. Tahm Kench already has pretty good wave clear with his W. Assuming that you're maxing that first, which it looks like you are, yeah. I think that right now, your best bet to win this game is Yasuo, if it is a 4v5. And so I would do Knight's Vow for the Yasuo. I think is still a better investment than giving you a little bit more wave clear. Always ping where you're going to set him down. Just like ping the place so that your allies know where you're going to put him. Yeah, once again, you really don't want to use your Grayskin there. Because you would have replenished and had, like, you know, half your health bar at this point. And then Rengar would not have one-shotted you. So yeah, try not to use that Grayskin unless, you know, they're going to kill you. Because whenever you use it, all of that Grayskin that you don't use, when you activate it, then that becomes actual damage that you don't replenish. Whereas any that you don't use, then you get a 25% refund, basically, on the damage. Interesting. So, yeah, I would go around with Graves, probably, at this point, using your ult. You need to get Ninja Tabi. Rengar's getting real big. Now, you need Ninja Tabi right now. Like, I know that moving around faster sounds appealing, but when you have an 8 kill Rengar, you gotta get some extra armor. It's not like Sunfire's awful here. Sunfire's, like, alright, but, you know, I think you really need to keep Yasuo up. I think he's really your only prayer right now. It's not a good prayer to have. And I think you said this was a silver game. But, you know, it is what it is. That's your best chance to win. Is Yasuo just goes off and, like, pentakills. So I think just giving him survivability with Knight's Vow and Locket is probably the best chance you're going to have. Alright, so I'm not sure which runes you're taking, because I don't think I've seen Guardian Shield. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. But I haven't seen Guardian Shield, and I don't think I saw Glacial. Glacial doesn't have a very, haven't seen any biscuits. I don't think I saw Magical Footwear. Rengar question mark. Got baited. You guys can still win if Varus comes back. I mean, Poppy is not super strong on this patch. Rengar might fall off eventually. Yeah, you need to be here, though. Looks like you might be AFK in the fountain or something. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's way too long in the fountain. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Like, maybe you had to answer the door, or your roommate was talking to you again or something, but... You spent like 2 minutes in the fountain. I mean, I assume something more eventful is going to happen here, or probably you would not have sent me this replay. Maybe. I think so. Yeah, you don't want to be in the fountain. I don't know if you're just like, if you've given up on the game, or if you've, if you're having to talk to your roommate or what, but... you know, I think the game is winnable. If Varus shows back up, I would keep playing it. I mean, I've talked about this before in, like, my surrender video. There will be games like this that are winnable, and you don't know which ones you can win and which ones you won't win. So you just need to play them all. Because you're going to win 0% of the games where you don't play, you know, where you give up. But you'll win some percentage, even if it's just like 3% of games like this. You know, 3 out of 100. That's still a lot of games. You play, you know, 300 games in a season. You play about a game a day. Getting that extra 3% in there, it's a big deal. That's 9 games. I mean, that's like 2 divisions. If you just actually play out those 3% of kind of tough games. Hey, right now, last season, I missed Diamond by 2 games out of 2,000 that I played. So if I just won 2 more games anywhere, I would have been back in Diamond last season like I was in Season 6. But alas, stalled out at Platinum 1 promos for Diamond. And all I needed was 2 more games. Like, literally, what was it? 1%. Less than that, 0.1%. If I won 0.1% games, if I won 1 more game per 1,000, I would have had it. So, yeah, I can only assume you've probably given up at this point. And like I said, I would highly suggest that you don't give up. Even though it looks tough, because everyone else is trying, and you do have a Yasuo on your team. Like, Yasuo can win, especially in Silver. If he gets enough items, you know, he is the type of champion that can 1v4, in theory. Especially if you give him good cover. You know, if you exhaust for him, and you pop your Locket, and you pop your Knight's Vow. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's been about 6 minutes since you gave up, and your team's on a rampage now. Yasuo's 13-6. I mean, I can't... I can't comment on anything else right now, because it's just, you know... That's it. Varus is DC'd. You've... I mean, I guess I can't fully assume that you've given up on the game. But I've seen you move a couple of times on the fountain, so... I mean, I don't know. You didn't really elaborate in the submission in the email, like what was up here. So I don't know if you're DC'd or given up or what. But yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is don't give up. Well, that's kind of macro-wise. I mean, your team's basically 3v5 right now, and they're staying in it, like... They're winning fights, 3v5. They've defended Inhibitor, you know. They have enough, they have CC with the gold card. And they have a lot of damage with Graves and Yasuo. So if they just catch people out, like, they can definitely win. And their team is just running around, like, they're getting tilted. Look at this. This guy's, like... I mean, they're losing their minds right now. And they're probably, yeah, they're freaking out because they're losing a 3v5. Now Varus has come back. So if you you know, if you had just been, like, trying your best and running around and helping your team the whole time, like, you guys probably could have, off of some of these kills, right now when they win these fights, they aren't getting anything. Like, they're just winning the fight. But if you were with them, like, they maybe could have gotten towers. They maybe could have won cleaner without dying. So now Varus is back. Is he a low level? Yes. But he can, like, farm off in the jungle. So if you had been participating with your team, you guys would have gotten... Like, they got 2 towers down here by themselves, 3v5 winning. So just imagine if you'd been there, like, you guys maybe could have even had an inhibitor by now off of a win. Or you could have had, like, 2 towers in middle. So yeah, I mean, my general rule with thumb is I really don't like to surrender, but if people on your team are all trying and they, you know, at least a few people are still trying and really want to play, like, I would just play it. Like I said, because it's ranked, you know, like, you're gonna win 0% of the games where you don't try. And if you do try, there's gonna be some percentage. I don't know what it is, but there's some percentage of games you will win that you do not think you will win. And so, you're not playing the game out, these kinds of games out, because you're expecting to win, right? Like, yeah, you have a DC'd Varus for 20 minutes. You know, it's just irrational to think that you're probably going to win. So you're not playing it because each individual time you do this, you're going to win. You're playing it because you don't know which games you will win, despite the odds. And because you don't know that, you should play them all. So are you going to lose most games like this? Yes. But you will win some of them, and you don't know which ones they are. So, and there's no cost. Like, you're not paying anything extra other than your time. But, you know, if you're playing ranked, it should be about winning. It shouldn't be about cranking out as many games as you can, you know? So some people argue, well, I just want to give up on this game and go on to another game, or whatever. You know, if it's for psychological reasons, if, you know... it's just not going to give you a good experience or whatever, that's fine. But just understand, if you're really serious about climbing, if you really want to take it to the next level, then you have to do everything you can to win. And that means playing out games, even games that sometimes aren't fun, even games that seem unfair. You just got to put your head down and play them. If you really want to climb, you have to win games like this. Not all of them, but some of them. Yeah, I would just get with your team. I mean, like, you might be able to kill him. I mean, she does have Dead Man's Plate. But... okay. And back. Go get Infernal after this. Alright, take stock of all the items. Varus is honestly not that far behind. I don't even know how that's possible. The Xayah, but in terms of damage, he's not that far behind. She has Dead Man's Plate, but she only has Static Shiv and a BF Sword as far as damage, and she has Mobility Boots. So her damage is really low, and he has Essence Reaver and almost Static Shiv. So I would say his damage output's probably higher than hers right now. Like, she can probably duel him, just because she's up a ton of levels on him. Or not even that many levels, she's up 2 levels on him. She has Smite, though. And he has Heal. I'm not even sure if she can duel him, and he's been AFK for 20 minutes. She probably can with Dead Man's Plate. But you need to get your team together. Get them over here. Like, these guys are just randomly running around. Like, try to end it. I mean, you have Baroned up minions walking in. They have a lot of itemization problems. They seem to be really tilted. Yeah, you gotta shot call and direct your team over here to finish this up. Oh, wait, was this the... I think this was the, now that I think about it, I think this guy was the Yasuo. Now, I think somewhere buried in the emails he mentioned that he was Yasuo. Well, I've already recorded this, so I'm I'm going to go ahead. I'm pretty sure he's the Yasuo. That makes a lot more sense here. I think he's the Yasuo. I assumed it was a support person. But I think he actually was the Yasuo. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, why is this person going to send me a replay where he went AFK? But I think it is the Yasuo as the player. So I'm going to re-record it and talk about the Yasuo's perspective. So the next one is going to be Yasuo. But at least I got some good talking about Tahm Kench early on. And how Tahm Kench should play. And just talking about, like, never giving up and itemization. Like, it's okay. You know, it's some okay commentary for Tahm Kench. But I'm pretty sure, now that I remember... I don't think he told me who his summoner was, and he just said that, like, it was a good comeback victory or something. And then he said, you know, I would like to know more about map movements and things. He's like, I carried this game really hard. And I thought maybe it was like a troll or something, or like a joke if he was Tahm Kench and he carried it hard going AFK for 10 minutes. But I think it was the Yasuo. It was we had several exchanges of text in the email. And I think now I remember him saying it was the Yasuo. So it's either, like, this person is, like, joking and just wanted to, like, send $10 for a funny replay with the Tahm Kench, or it's the Yasuo. And it's probably the Yasuo. I mean, from Yasuo's perspective, Yasuo played a great game, but I didn't comment on it, so I'm going to have to go back and talk about it. So that's kind of an unusual situation. I haven't really goofed that up before. If you do send me a replay, please tell me the champion that you're playing. Like, like, in the email where you send me the replay, just tell me the champion so that I can remember. But that's fine. It'll be funny, I think. And it is some good Tahm Kench commentary to some extent, at least early on, because, you know, I know Tahm Kench is becoming really popular, and people don't submit a lot of Tahm Kench replays. I don't know if I've ever done a Tahm Kench replay. But I play him a lot. I did play him a lot in Season 6. So he is a good champion right now. So I'll go ahead and post it up. I think it's still useful commentary, even though it's a little goofy. I think I'll go ahead and... I guess I'll talk about the post-game a little bit, but I'm almost certain... Let me just black screen it really quick and just look at the email. I'm almost certain that, now that I remember... Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's the Yasuo. And I just overlooked that. So the next coaching session is going to be the exact same game as this one. So if you like to watch them in order, the next one's going to be the exact same game as this one. But it's going to be from Yasuo's perspective, and I'm going to comment on Yasuo and how he played the lane and how he was able to come back and stuff like that. So if you want to see Yasuo's perspective, and then be sure to watch the next one. But post game for this, I mean, the biggest thing for Tahm Kench is obviously don't give up is the big one, but even in lane, yeah, tell them to avoid fights if behind. Go through this pretty quickly, though, now that I realize what's going on. So use your I guess non-flash would be a better word there. Okay. So I'm not going to dwell on that a lot, because I'm pretty sure it's the Yasuo, like I said before. But if it was the Tahm Kench, these would be the main pieces of advice I'd give. Don't give up, obviously, was a huge thing here. Try not to miss early experience. Communicate to your ADC to avoid fights if you're behind. Hold Grayskin as much as possible. And use your Flash Summoner for all ends. Okay, and I'll do a better job of paying attention and, like, rereading, like, these email chains to make sure that I get the right champion. I looked to make sure that I got the right support, because he told me it was a comeback in the description, and so I just skipped to the end of the game, and I was like, okay, comeback, red side, it's gotta be Tahm Kench. I didn't know he went AFK for 15 minutes. It's not him, obviously, it's not the person who submitted it. It was a Tahm Kench in his game, but then I was just perplexed, like I said, why? And then he said that he, like, carried this game hard, and I was like, is it a joke? I mean, I don't know. But the Yasuo did pretty well. And it was so funny because I kept talking about the Yasuo in the game too. So I was talking about the person who donated. I was like, we can win off of this Yasuo. This Yasuo is trying. Like, he can definitely pop off, you know. Yasuo's and silver sometimes kind of iffy, but if it's a good Yasuo, you definitely can win the game. And then it turns out it was a good Yasuo, because the Yasuo was the person that I wanted to coach. So, yeah. Yeah, anyways, thank you very much. Hopefully you got a good chuckle out of this, if nothing else. You did get some good Tahm Kench knowledge early, I think, for 8.2, so that's really helpful. And then just sort of my pep talk about not giving up. I think it's still worth publishing. I've already recorded it, so might as well. This one's on the house. There you go, YouTube. You get one on the house here, so thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.